Okay, so in this video, I'm going to share about what I learned when I played Division I volleyball. In 2019, 2020, I played D1 volleyball, starting libero at Pepperdine University. Yeah, I played in some really big games. Like at BYU, we had 5,000 people watching, and it was televised, and the fans were screaming so loud I couldn't even hear myself yell. But that's not what I remember when I think back to those times. I remember getting to 7 a.m. practice at 5:30. I remember reading for 5 hours on the plane ride home. I remember walking to the cafeteria by myself a bunch. I remember having almost no free time, never really going to the beach or hiking, even though we could see the beach and I was living pretty much in the mountains. So people idolize playing in Division I sport, but they don't realize that it's actually a job. It's a great job, but it comes with a really big cost. So our practices started at 7, but we had to show up ready to play. So that means that the nets had to be up, we had to be warm. I knew I kind of had to earn my spot and position there. The guys that had been there, starting in my position that I wanted, weren't gonna just hand me the position. So I knew I was gonna have to work extra hard. So I showed up at 5:30 every day, and I would set up the nets, usually by myself, and it would take 30 minutes to set up the 3 nets. Sometimes the assistant coaches would get there really early and help me, but usually it was myself. And by the time I finished setting up the nets around 6, we'd have at least one of our assistant coaches come and help. So then I would have him bowl me balls. So I'd pass just a bunch of free balls over and over and over again, just super easy, focus on technique. And then I would go into down balls, a little bit tougher. And then he would hit float serves at me, just over and over and over again, really focusing on every little detail, where my weight is, where my arms are, how my head is positioned. And then if people weren't there by that time, he would either do the serving machine or the other players would jump serve, and I'd get a bunch of passing reps there. So I'd get at least 30 minutes of reps, sometimes an hour, before practice every single day. Because as a libero, I think serve, receive, passing is much more important than defense. We also had this program called Volleymetrics. It's a website where you can upload videos of practices or games, and we would have our team manager code the game so that we could easily find each player's passes, serves, hits, whatever their contact was, and we could just easily scroll through all of my passes or all of somebody else's serves, and then we would easily be able to watch it in slow motion over and over and over again. So I spent hours watching that, not just of myself, but also professional games were posted onto Volleymetrics. So I would watch the best liberos in the world and really study what made them good at defense. What do they do right? What do they do wrong? And then I would try to imitate them in practice and really test out what worked for me. There's a lot of experimenting, but I figured out myself. The coaches, they helped a lot, but they're trying to coach everybody at the same time, so they can't really specialize in something like passing. They can't focus on it as much as I was able to. I spent all my time focusing on passing and defense. So I really learned how hard I needed to work to get to the next level, and I learned how to study the game independently. And the coaches aren't going to hold your hand in Division I sports. If you want to work hard, if you want to start, that's kind of on you. They'll help you so much, but they're not going to try to get you to work hard. And then as a student, I didn't realize how tough it would be to balance the student athlete life. When we're practicing for 4 hours a day, 2-hour practice and then a lift after. So that's 3 hours. And then the time it takes to set up the net or change or shower after or go get treatment, it's at least 4 hours. spent on volleyball or more, 4 to 5 hours. So that's just a big chunk of your day that you don't get to spend studying. But when we would travel, we would be spending way more than 4 hours a day, sometimes 8 hours or more on just volleyball. And the teachers, the professors don't really care if you're missing. Like if you have an assignment due that day, you have to turn it in the day before, or same thing with a test, you have to take the test early. And they're not going to hold your hand through that like high school. So then when you are traveling, you're on these trips, you have to find every time you can to spend studying or doing assignments that are due when you get back. I remember the first week of our season, our coach scheduled a trip. It was like a five-day trip, the first 5 days of class to the East Coast. And we played 3 games, but the other days we're practicing. So we had barely any time to do any homework. And I remember that week I had to finish a 300-page philosophy book. And since I had no time during the week, I spent literally 5 hours straight reading on the plane ride back. And I read so much that I began talking in the old English that the book was translated in. So I thought that was really funny, but I learned how much I'm willing to push myself academically, and I learned time management more so than if I wasn't playing a sport, since you only have a limited amount of time. And I realized how much you can actually do in a day. Now, like socially, it was a bit of a challenge, I think, at first. So the first week of school, the school put on like a bunch of different events so students can get to know each other and make friends. But during that time, I was with the team practicing. So I didn't get to meet all these people the first week like everyone else did. So I didn't have those like close relationships that were built the first week of school. But what I did realize was, though I didn't have those really close few friends, it caused me to be more independent and not rely on those people. But I was able to make way more friends from different friend groups, and I ended up meeting a lot more people than I thought. People came up to me and they're like, hey, like, how do you know so many people? And I felt like I didn't really know that many people just because I didn't have those few really close friends. But I learned how to be more independent through that, and build relationships with people on the volleyball team that I necessarily wouldn't choose to hang out with. Like, you're kind of put in these circles when you join a team and you have to figure it out. So although I was only at Pepperdine playing Division I volleyball for 1 year, I learned so much more than I thought I would have. I learned how to push as an athlete. I learned how to study the game and work hard independently. I learned how to manage my time academically and how much I was willing to push myself and how much time I had in the day. And I learned how to be more independent. I'll make another video about why I left Pepperdine and decided to play NAIA volleyball. Let me know if there's any other videos you want me to make. Please just comment or anything you thought was cool in this video.